So today we will learn about how to create this kind of a twisting tower in Revit through Dynamo. So for understanding its structure, we'll first take a snap of it. Okay. So it would have a normal rectangular profile in plan, which will rotate at each level. If I talk about these levels, so it will rotate the rectangular profile in plan at each level like this. Okay. So how can we create this kind of a geometry in Revit through Dynamo? So we'll go back to the Revit. Okay. The first step and the very basic step is to convert the units of the project to meters. Otherwise it can hang up. Okay. Now we need to create a rectangle. Okay. So we'll simply type rectangle, and the node which has been come is asking for the plane width and height length. So what is plane? Plane would be the levels at which we need to create the profile. So we'll simply type out the plane like this and we'll connect it. Now it will ask us origin. Okay, origin or point by coordinate. So we'll simply type point by coordinate and we'll connect it. For normal, it will by default show us the values of the vector, which is 0, 0, 1. So what is 0, 0, 1? 0 would be the x value, 0 would be the y value, and then 1 is would be the z value. So our vector would be in z direction, and obviously the levels are in vertical direction. So that is okay. The by default value is okay. Now for the point by coordinates, we actually need the z value. We do not want the xy value. We need to have the values of the levels in the z value. Okay. So for that, we actually want the elevation of levels. We want elevations of level. Okay. Now it is showing us an error. Why it is showing us an error? Because we have not created any level till now. Okay. So in the last videos, we have already seen how to create level by elevation. So we'll simply create levels by elevation. And for that, we need to create a sequence. Sequence would start from, let's take a typical height. So the sequence would start from 8 meters. Okay. The amount can be controlled through integer or the number slider. Integer slider. And the step would be 4 meters, let's say. Step would be 4 meters. Now, if I increase it, as you can see, the levels are being created. Also, if I go back to the rectangle command, it is creating a rectangle like this. Now, the by default values of width and length are 1 and 1. That is why it is taking or making a square kind of a thing. We can put the width value as, let's say, 8 meters and 20 meters, supposedly. So if I connect this and this, it will create this kind of a geometry. After that, we need to rotate these geometries to certain angle. So we'll simply type rotate geometry. Okay, we'll take this one. So it will first ask the geometry, which would be the rectangle. Base plane. Plane would be this thing which we have already achieved. After that, degrees. Now degrees would be somewhat in sequence. Why in sequence? Because it would be 1 or 2 degrees at bottom, then maybe 90 degrees at top. So it would be rotating in a sequence from level 1 to whatever the level we are achieving till. So sequence. After that, the starting amount, let's say 5 degrees. Okay. Amount of the sequence can be controlled through the number of levels we have created in the project, and the step would be, let's say, 5 only. So as you can see, there are two kinds of geometry. First is the normal rectangle, and the second geometry is the rotated one. But if I try to select this kind of a geometry in Revit, I cannot select because this is a Dynamo geometry. This is not a Revit geometry. Now, the last step is to create floor slabs on this particular curve geometry. So we'll type out create floor, okay, by outline curve, floor type and levels. Now, outline curves would be the rotated geometries or the rotated rectangles we have created so far. For the floor types, we'll simply type out floor type, okay. In flow types, we can select whatever the types of slabs which are loaded in the project. So we'll simply select this one. Okay. And after that, the last step is levels. So we can connect the levels which we have created like this to this one. Now it will show us an error. Why? Because it is actually creating the rectangle only at first floor. So there is a special tool or special thing in every node. If I right click on it, there is an lacing option, and then we select the cross product. As soon as I do it, it will take some time and make the floor slabs at each level with the rotated geometries. Like this, it will take some time to evaluate all the floor lines or the dynamo geometries. So as you can see, it has created floor slabs at each level with the twisting geometry.